Now, ever since Triple H took control of WWE Creative, he's brought back a number of released talents. From Karrion Kross to Dakota Kai, these wrestlers are now getting a second chance under brand new leadership. With there being extensive reports that Triple H is going to bring back several talents who were misused under the old regime, there's a push to see certain superstars back in WWE. However, there are those wrestlers that WWE maybe should avoid bringing back at all costs. But which ones are they? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 wrestlers WWE shouldn't ever bring back. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan was mostly known for her time in the Riot Squad, but outside of her being a member of the aforementioned group, Logan didn't really make an impact during her time in WWE. She was released from WWE in 2020, but she is said to be on good terms with the company. This explains why Logan has appeared a number of times since her release, including at the 2022 Royal Rumble. Now, there may be a push under the new regime to see Logan be brought back into the company, but this may be considered a wasted investment. Logan was in the WWE for years and never managed to get over. Bringing her back won't suddenly change this, and unless Logan has suddenly and drastically improved in the ring, WWE may be better off bringing back a different star for the women's division. Number 9. Lars Sullivan. During his time in NXT, Lars Sullivan was heavily pushed. It was clear that Triple H saw great value in Sullivan, and this explained why he was always presented as a credible and legitimate threat. But Sullivan had a disastrous main roster run, as it was revealed that he had previously shared his controversial and offensive thoughts on a bodybuilding site a number of years ago. He was fined and was forced to attend sensitivity training. In early 2021, he departed from WWE as he was dealing with a ton of anxiety. With Triple H being a big fan of Sullivan in NXT, there is a small possibility that the game could look to bring him back into the mix. This shouldn't happen. Sullivan has a lot of demons and his in-ring work was nothing to write home about. Ultimately, bringing back the former NXT star to the main roster wouldn't help the company in any way, shape or form. Number 8. The Iconics. Following their WWE releases in 2021, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, known as the Iconics, signed with Impact Wrestling. They had a successful run in the company and WWE contacted them in regards to the Royal Rumble, but they turned it down. There's a possibility that Triple H could look to bring back both talents into the company, as the women's tag team division needs elevating, but are the Iconics the right team to do this? The Iconics have never been known for their in-ring work, and it's unlikely that the duo would have been able to have the quality of matches that fans want out of the women's tag division. Number 7. Bronson Reed. Before his surprising release in 2021, Bronson Reed was one of the top babyfaces in NXT. However, it was when Reed was getting ready to be called up to the main roster where the problems began. Vince McMahon wasn't a fan of Reed's work and he decided to outright release him. Triple H put a ton of effort into getting Reed over in NXT and it was destroyed by the former chairman. Triple H may get in contact with Reed to discuss the possibility of a return, but in all honesty this shouldn't happen. Not yet anyway. Reed is enjoying a run in New Japan Pro Wrestling and he's finding himself as a performer. Reed spending a number of years in Japan before finally coming back to WWE would be the smartest move for everyone involved. Number 6. Lana. Lana received a substantial push throughout the COVID-19 pandemic as her ongoing feud with Nia Jax was heavily featured on Raw, but no matter how many matches Lana wrestled in, she just didn't have what it took to be a top female talent in the company. She was released in 2021 and then since then she's taken a step back from the crazy world of pro wrestling. She claims that she's become extremely successful since leaving WWE and has actually become a millionaire. Hopefully Lana's new ventures lead to great personal success, as she certainly wasn't going to find it in WWE. Lana isn't a name that Triple H should consider bringing back. WWE needs fantastic in-ring talents and Lana sadly doesn't fit this criteria. Number 5. The Velveteen Dream. Now, at one point in time, the Velveteen Dream was considered to be one of the brightest young stars in all of WWE. He was one of the top stars in NXT and even considered for a high-profile feud with John Cena. However, in 2020, this all changed. Dream was accused of sending indecent images to a minor, and this was followed by allegations of grooming. For the next few months, they insisted that there was no truth to the allegations, and they continued to feature Dream on television. However, in May of 2021, Dream will be released to the delight of many WWE fans who had been clamoring for his departure ever since the allegations surfaced. Dream struggles to obtain any bookings due to the serious allegations. There have been rumors predominantly on social media that Dream could be considered for a WWE comeback, but unless WWE want to face severe backlash, this should be avoided at all costs. Number 4. Jackson Ryker. During his time in WWE, Jackson Ryker made a ton of enemies. Ryker was extremely right-wing, and he was unashamed to share these controversial viewpoints across his social media platforms. In 2019, Ryker claimed that the Black Lives Matter movement was garbage, and a number of WWE talent naturally took issue with what Ryker was saying. Although he was loathed by his peers and fans, former chairman Vince McMahon was actually a big fan of him. McMahon gave Ryker a substantial push and expected to get him over as a babyface. Due to budget cuts, Ryker was released from WWE in 2021, and it goes without saying that Ryker shouldn't be considered for a comeback ever. Triple H bringing him back would be terrible for talent morale, and bringing someone as hateful as Ryker back wouldn't be the best look for Triple H's new era. Number 3. Braun Strowman. When it was announced that Braun Strowman had been released from WWE in 2021, it took everyone by surprise. Strowman was one of the WWE's top stars and had just been featured in a WWE title program. Now, his release came down to budget cuts, as Strowman was one of the highest paid talents in the entire company. Now, a Strowman return may be considered, but what can he truly add to WWE? Outside of his epic rivalry with Roman Reigns a number of years ago, most of Strowman's WWE work fell flat. It also doesn't help that Strowman has rather problematic viewpoints, such as the time he criticized independent wrestlers for seeking financial help during the pandemic. Strowman is a key part of the Control Your Narrative brand, and Strowman is better off sticking to appearances in this promotion rather than gearing up for a WWE comeback. Number 2. Eva Marie. In 2021, it was announced that WWE had re-signed Eva Marie. This was a baffling decision, as Marie's first run wasn't exactly great and her in-ring work was below average. She would be paired with Doudrop, and this pairing did no favors to Doudrop. Marie would have a number of matches during her second run, including a disastrous match with Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. She was eventually released in November 2021 due to budget cuts, but WWE had completely wasted time and money with bringing her back into the company. She should have never been considered for another run again. Even though WWE clearly thinks that Marie is marketable, this isn't the 1990s anymore, and women actually need to be able to deliver to a high standard inside the squared circle. And number 1. Nia Jax. Now, in terms of problematic wrestlers, Nia Jax is certainly at the top of the list. During her WWE career, Jax attained a reputation for being reckless and unsafe in the ring. But this all began when Jax broke Becky Lynch's nose in 2018. She did this with a closed fist punch, and from this point onwards, Jax just became even more dangerous in the ring. Although recklessness was heavily criticized, WWE continued to feature in a prominent role, but that was until 2021 when she was released. Fans were quick to sympathize with Jax after she claimed that WWE fired her whilst on a mental health break. But it later transpired that this was a total fabrication from Jax, and WWE had released her due to Jax's outright refusal to get vaccinated. Getting the COVID-19 vaccine was required by WWE talent, as they are a wrestling company that travels the world, and Jax refusing to get the vaccine would mean that she wasn't eligible for several international appearances. Jax creates problem after problem, and WWE should avoid ever bringing her back. She has a terrible attitude, and judging by her conduct on social media, this attitude isn't going to be adjusted anytime soon. But there you have it, folks, 10 wrestlers that WWE should never bring back. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.